Growing up, I didn't have that many games. Well, that's not necessarily true. I had a decent amount of games, but some of them were hot garbage, so I rarely played them. I'm looking at you, Arrow the Acrobat. But two games that I did play a lot, way more than most of the other games, are the first two Donkey Kong Country games. These games, along with Super Mario World and the Super Mario All-Stars pack, basically shaped my gaming childhood on the Super Nintendo, seeing as those were some of the only games we had on it that were worth a damn. This week on That Game Review Show, I'm your host, James, and we're going to be taking a look at one of my childhood favorite games, Donkey Kong Country. The game starts off with a funky remix of the original Donkey Kong tune, and we see a younger and snazzier DK jump down into the fray. This here, as the name would suggest, is Donkey Kong. Well, not Donkey Kong, but the grandson of the original Donkey Kong. Actually, that means that DK Jr. is this new DK's father. Interesting. Anyways, Donkey Kong jumps out of his treehouse and he heads down to his banana hoard, where he finds it completely empty. So he decided to run right and go get the bananas back. This is as far as the game goes with plot, and I appreciate that. There's nothing dragging the game down. The Game Boy Advance port of this game adds some details, but since I'm not playing that version, it's not necessary to discuss. Along the way, we run into a bunch of different Kongs in the family. First and foremost is Diddy Kong, DK's nephew and friend. He acts as Donkey Kong's health bar. If you have him and get hit, Donkey Kong runs away and then you get to play as Diddy, and vice versa. It's not quite like Returns, where you always play as DK and the other characters are just power-ups. In this game, DK is slow and lumbering, but he can kill some of the larger enemies no problem, and also armadillos. Diddy can jump way higher and run faster, but as a balance, he can't kill some of the big guys. And he takes 2 jumps to kill the armadillos. Not sure why I keep putting so much emphasis on the armadillos, but they caused me a lot of grief over the years. Cranky Kong, who comes back as a playable character in Tropical Freeze, gives you tips and hints for your adventure. Funky Kong, who also comes back as a playable character actually, is a rad surfer dude who uses his flying barrel to take you to previous areas of the island. I didn't use him at all in those playthroughs, so yeah, I don't really have any footage of him. The third and final Kong is Candy Kong, an eerily human-like Kong who saves your game. Yeah, she looks a little creepy, and clearly Naughty Dog didn't learn this lesson in Crash Bandicoot, because, Tanya looks very human-esque, but that's irrelevant. Going through the levels, the Kongs run into several animal buddies as well. There's Rambi the Rhino, a slow but deadly buddy who can break through walls. Espresso the Ostrich is a fast but weak buddy who can't jump on enemies, but he can sure as hell hover. Unguard the Swordfish helps the Kongs in the water levels, letting them swim easily anywhere and killing enemies directly in front of you. Winky the Frog jumps really high, and for some reason he can jump on the bees. Last but kinda least is Squawks the Parrot, who, in this game at least, appears in maybe one level carrying a lantern. He causes a fair amount of lag, and when you turn, the screen flashes bright white for a few frames. This was hilarious back in the day, because on the old CRT televisions, you could hear the screen cracking due to the flashes of light. It was kinda awesome, and terrifying. Can we just take a moment and appreciate the fact that we don't need heavy-ass CRTs anymore? While I do miss touching them and having them shock you, it's not worth the frustration. The game itself takes place on Donkey Kong Island, or Country as one would say, and the final level is on the Gangplank Galleon, where the final boss King K. Rool is hiding out with your banana horde. I do want to say something real quick, and I'm sure I'll upset someone, but I don't care about K. Rool that much. He was an okay boss in these games, but I don't understand the absolute obsession with him that a lot of people seem to have. So much so that they even put him in Smash Bros. It just doesn't make any sense to me. The internet is a weird place. The music in this game is really good. Nostalgia helps me appreciate this music more than the, more recent game soundtracks, and I can admit that. Of course, the song that everyone points to is Aquatic Ambience. And yeah, it is easily the best in this game. But there are others that are pretty good too. I'm sure by now you have noticed the graphics. While they may look a bit ugly by today's standards, this was pretty mind-blowing back in the day, or at least so I have heard. The graphics are pre-rendered, which is basically just pictures of the 3D models turned into sprites, which allow this game to look so unique, at least for the time. And to me, it still looks pretty good. I think the sequel looks a tad better, just due to the general art style, but this one is still pretty nice to look at. There is a huge speedrunning community surrounding this game. At events like GDQ, tons of people like to pick this game to speedrun. And, not to pat myself on the back or anything, I took a shot at it as well. Not saying I was any good, I was pretty bad admittedly, but it was kind of fun to try and do all the tricks. Basically, any skill I had acquired to do that is completely gone. This recent playthrough, I died a lot for some reason. I blame my controller. I was using this Axie pad I got from Goodwill forever ago, instead of the Super Nintendo controller I usually use. Maybe I shouldn't have given that one to my sister. No use dwelling on what was, of course. If you're interested in picking up this game nowadays, it's pretty easy. It's on the Wii U Virtual Console and the 3DS Virtual Console as well if you have the new Nintendo 3DS. Of course, if you have the Super Nintendo Classic Edition, the game comes built in on there as well. I played this on my Retron 5. You know, I hear a lot of flack on these retro consoles that use emulation, and I just don't get it. The game works just... oh god, the level's messed up. I have fixed it, don't worry. Anyways, like I said, I hear a lot of complaints, and I think overall the systems work just fine, given what they are. Whew, I really went on a lot of tangents in this episode, didn't I? Well, that will do it for me this week. If you enjoyed this video, please let us know down below, and if you haven't subscribed, we suggest you do so. We upload new videos every Wednesday. Unless we miss Wednesday, then we try to get it out as soon as possible. Haven't missed a week yet. Next week will be Terrell's week, so come join us back here then.